everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Cinemacast. You guys are watching this on our YouTube channel, Air Entertainment. Please hit that like and subscribe button down below if you enjoy our content. This is also uploaded on our Twitch channel and our Rumble channel as well. So today's feature is a very, very unique feature. And this is a movie that's been out for actually over a year now that I'm looking at it. And it's one that I've never really heard of. I never heard of this movie. And this was one that was released over a year ago on Sundance, under the Sundance Festival. And it just released in the United States this past January 24th, 2025. And it's amazing, you know, this movie, this was a decision made by a couple friends of mine, and we were having I guess it's like a double date, you know, me, my fiance, and a couple friends of ours. So we went out to eat, and then we decided, let's go see a movie, you know, and it was I don't think it was rather difficult what to see. You know, it was either Heart Eyes or this movie Presence, and I haven't even heard of this movie. It's a independent release, basically. It was produced by Sugar 23 Entertainment and Extension 765. I ain't never heard of them, and it's distributed by Neon Rated LLC. Apparently they were founded back in 2017. I never heard of them, but I could see, you could definitely tell this was an independent release, you know, especially if if it's shown and featured at the Sundance Festival. And actually, before I get into this film, I want to say Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 87% positive rating, and I'll read those ratings after I talk about it. So, what is Presence? And it is labeled as a supernatural thriller drama film. Now, our friend, she thought it was supposed to be like a supernatural horror movie. You know, you're dealing with a spiritual presence in a sense. You know, well, there was really nothing horror related about this film. I mean, it does have some horror elements to it. You know, you're dealing with an actual spirit, yes, but there's a very uniqueness to this film, and I will talk about that. This movie stars Lucy Liu, Chris Sullivan, and Kalina Lang. Now, Lucy Liu, that is the only real name that I know in this movie. You know, if you don't know Lucy Liu, she was in a lot of movies throughout the years, and of course her first major role was in 1992, but she was in movies like Charlie's Angels, Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, Ballistic. She was in Shanghai Noon, Milan 2. Was she in the first Milan? No, she was only in Milan 2, which was the Disney animated film, of course. She was in Kung Fu Panda, The Man with Iron Fist, and so on. You know, she had an interesting role. You know, she was started in TV in 1991, so she has been acting in TV and film for just about 24 years. And the other actors, of course, like Chris Sullivan, I don't think I've seen him in anything. Okay, he had a role in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Everything else, I haven't seen. They all look like independent releases to me, I guess. I don't know. He was also a stage actor too. He acted in some TV roles as well. So just only one main actor that I know, that I recognize in this film, is Lucy Liu. Now, this movie, it's got a very interesting cinematography to it. And just the way the entire movie is shot, and you would think it's like one continuous shot in a sense. almost like that new Tom Hanks movie, where everything is shot in a setting of one living room in the house, over a time period of 70 years or something like that. I haven't even seen that film, but I heard decent things about it. But this movie is basically, you have a family of four, the Paynes, mother Rebecca, father Chris, elder brother Tyler, and younger sister Chloe, move into this large suburban house inhabited by a poltergeist, which of course is referred to in universe as a presence. This entire film is presented from the presence's point of view in a series of long takes. Now, to some, it may seem like a found footage or shot in a found footage style, but it's not really found footage. That's what's interesting about this movie. Like, I've seen movies filmed in different styles. I've seen them filmed, like, there's one particular artsy style out there that's shot in a particular way, like Battlefield Earth with John Travolta, the way the camera angles are. I kind of like that. I did kind of like the cinematography with that, different still shots, different camera angles, just I like how certain production companies, when it comes to filming, certain ways of filming something, that's something that has always interested me. I'm a content creator myself, and I've always been interested in filming things from different perspectives, and different angles and such. And of course, the found footage style, which was introduced in films well before movies like the Blair Witch Project, but Blair Witch Project made it more mainstream for that type of cinematography. And then of course there was a few movies that were shot in a first person perspective. One of them was the hardcore action movie Hardcore Henry, which released just a few years ago, which was an amazing, spectacular action movie. If you're into heavy action movies, especially like if you play Call of Duty, video games like Call of Duty, Halo, and such, this movie's up your alley. Hardcore Henry, that whole entire movie, there is no third person, there's no, regular camera angles. Everything is shot through the perspective of the main character, which is pretty awesome. And there was even certain way, that certain type of angle was shot in several other movies as well. Take it 2004, 2005's Doom, which had a 5-minute scene where there was a first-person perspective from one of the characters. So, that kind of cinematography, it always interests me. And I think, like, with the found footage style, I think it's almost like phasing out. Even though it's been around for the last almost 30 years, about 30 years, the found footage style has been around. And it almost kind of gets pretty stale in a sense, which is why it kind of evolved in the 2020s era, with movies like Unfriended, where the entire film is just from the view of a web camera or even a computer screen where people are chatting with each other in that sense. But this movie here, it's something very interesting about it that I like. And it's the way the whole movie is shot. And it even begins with this thing looking out the window, and then it just moves around the house like one continuous shot, and then you see the family moving in. So it's almost like, okay, now we're seeing the movie through the eyes of a spirit. And there's even times where the spirit follows particular individuals around and just stays there. So you got a sense of, okay, this family that moves in, the presence witnesses the growing cracks within the family. So one of the main plots. Now, I'm going to go right into it. I'm going to dive right into a little bit of the synopsis, but I'm not going to spoil it for you guys because this is a very interesting thing. So the movie basically is this spirit witnesses the falling apart of pretty much every individual in the family. And starting with the parents' marriage, which is strained. the mother, Rebecca, has been committing financial fraud at her job. Her husband, Chris, is considering leaving her. Rebecca obsesses over their teenage son, Tyler, who is an arrogant champion swimmer at his school, while paying a little attention to their daughter, Chloe, who I feel more of the attention is more focused on Chloe, and for certain odd reasons. Meanwhile, the father, Chloe, is concerned for the daughter, Father Chloe, I'm sorry. The father, Chris, I mean. I don't know where my mind is for this episode. So, the father, Chris, he's concerned more for the daughter, Chloe, who is grieving over the death of her best friend, Nadia, one of two girls in the community who recently died in their sleep. And, of course, the brother, Tyler, dismisses the dead girls as drug addicts. So, that's pretty much the whole plot of the film, is you're dealing with the parents who are dealing with work-related stresses. You got the mother, like I said. Now, that's what kind of confused me, in a sense. I don't know if it's I didn't pay attention closely to what was being said. All I know is that they were stressing out. It's like the entire movie, everybody stresses out over something. The father, the father character, you could tell, like, he just stresses out entirely. You can definitely feel and see his mood change between each family member. Like, he is more lenient and more calmer with his daughter, and he's more stressed with his wife, and he's very tiresome with his son, who is very arrogant and is always, throwing profanity around the entire movie. And is tired of him being disrespectful to his sister over certain things. It's just one big show of, like, it's like a dysfunctional family at this point, and then you got the mother, she's committing fraud at work, she's doing some really crooked and illegal things. And then there's even a scene in the movie where you see the father on the phone with an attorney or a friend of his asking about legal advice. Especially if it has something to do with somebody who's into illegal practices, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's the father doing it. I don't know. So now I get a better understanding when reading up on this. This is how things are. It's the mother that's committing it, and the dad, he doesn't want to be with her because of it. Because he doesn't want to be involved with any of that whatsoever. And of course, they have their issues. Now, there is one thing about this movie that is, I don't want to think it's a very subtle subplot, but everybody in this film is drinking. Like, I'm not talking like water or soda pop or anything like that. Like, actual drinking, like wine or some kind of alcohol. Like, even the kids they're high school kids, they're coming home from school and they need a drink, and they pop a drink, So I'm like, man, this movie, is this family really that dysfunctional that everybody needs a drink, in a sense? So there's even another character that pops into the movie. There's a total of 5 main characters in this movie, and one of them ends up being like the cool jock, the cool kid at school, who pops in on them, every now and then. He becomes friends with Tyler, the son, and starts to grow an affection for Chloe. And of course, there are some other characters that pop in, like the realtor. There is a medium that is brought into the mix as well. So there's a few scenes here or there. Like the medium, there's a scene with the medium where the medium is actually sensing the presence and takes notice to this giant mirror. Now, there's a mirror that is located in the living room that catches the eye of the medium and some of the other characters. Is something about this mirror, and it becomes a big focal point toward the end of the film. And even the medium warns them that, there is a presence here. They don't know why they're here. they're very confused, but there's something about, and she mentioned something about a window that doesn't open, and it's a big mystery, and it's like, okay, now you're worried more for the spirit, like, okay, the spirit is there to protect Chloe. There is a scene where the spirit does make its presence known to the family, and it really shakes them up. And of course, two of the family members, the mother and the son, are still very skeptical on it. They don't understand what they just saw, but it's definitely something. And of course, Chloe believes throughout the whole movie it's maybe her friend Nadia trying to warn her or something. So, without getting too much more into the rest of the film, because it really plays out very well, and you're watching everything take place. Now, I feel like the film may have ended just either a little too short. It's 85 minutes, of course. Some of these movies, they last anywhere between 85 and 100 minutes. It's usually the standard for movies like this. But I feel like there could have been just a little bit more to the movie to show some extra scenes, like what happened in the aftermath of this and that. But I want to say that maybe this movie did end on a tongue-in-cheek or maybe a sour note. Now, mind you, I had to read up on this movie to fully understand the ending. Because the ending is like, it really confused me of who the spirit really was. But then after reading up on this film, I actually understood who the spirit really was and what the message really was. And it's a real deep message. And it's like, there is, like I said, there's a scene where the medium talks about the spirit being trapped in a realm, between like the press and the past. It's very confused. It doesn't know why it's there or what its being is. But I will say, after watching it and now fully understanding each of the plots in the movie, because when I left the movie and I was talking with my friends, and I was like, there was all these little subplots that I feel they made no sense. Like, there was like no real end to them. I didn't feel there was like any real explanation to them. But now, after reading it, now I have an understanding of what each family member was about. It makes a better understanding. And I'm just like, I shouldn't have to read up on the movie to understand each thing. Like, it was just confusing. It's just we're following this family in a sense, and you're following them in the perspective of a ghost in this film, who just takes notice to each character in a sense. It's like, I want to say with this movie, you actually understand each character. You learn more about each character. So there is character development a little bit for each person. You have Chloe, the daughter, who is grieving over the loss of her friends, and she is kind of shut down. She's in her own space. But of course, she ends up kind of opening up a little bit to this boy. What was his name? I think his name was Ryan. Yeah, Ryan, who ends up being the friend to her brother and ends up growing an affection, a so-called affection to her, as to wanting to be the boyfriend. So she opens up to him, and then he, of course, has a dark side to himself, which you do learn a little bit more throughout the movie. And then you got the brother, Tyler, who, like it is stated, he's very arrogant. He's part of the swim team. He's one of those that's trying to be popular in school with the girls and all, and he doesn't want his sister to ruin that for him. He doesn't want to be known as the brother of a freak or something. So yeah, he's the aggressive, the arrogant, swimmer at the school, champion swimmer. And then you got the mother who's committing illegal actions at work, and it's, and her husband knows about it. and it's stressing her out because she's doing something she's not supposed to. And then I don't even remember what the husband's job was. It doesn't even say what the husband's job was. It just says that he's considered leaving her, so he knows what's going on, and he's tired of the stress. He's tired of fighting. They're always drinking and fighting and arguing all the time. So there's 5 characters that you really learn about throughout this movie, and it paces it very well. It really does pace it, and you see the relationship with the mother and the son more as you see the relationship between the father and the daughter. So there's a lot of different character development for each character, and of course pairs of character, even like between the mother and the father, they're arguing all the time. They can't talk to each other about their problems. You got the son and the daughter, the son is more aggressive toward Chloe, his sister, and she hates him for how he acts. But then a lot of things they're not really resolved in the end, but when it comes comes around full circle, and you understand everything from throughout the movie and why certain things happen. So I will say this movie, it does have a very interesting story. There's a very interesting plot with this story, and it's told in a very interesting way, and it's presented in a very interesting way, and I like that. I think between me seeing this movie for the first time and then reading up on it and understanding it, I think I do have an appreciation for this movie now that I've read up on it, now that I understand with everything that is being presented to me, the viewer. And I will say that this movie's probably not for everybody. It probably isn't for everybody who, are into movies, with a supernatural, of the supernatural genre, the supernatural genre. I don't want to say it's much of a it has some thriller elements to it, but not too heavy. It's more of a drama. So I want to say it's like a supernatural drama movie that has some elements in there where you're like, no, that don't do that, that kind of thing, So it's a very interesting take, and you got director Steven Soderbergh, who directed it, and I'd never heard of that name, but I'm going to look at some of the movies that he has done. So he's done, what was that, Sex, Lies, and Videotape. I heard of that, but I never watched that. I see he's done Out of Sight. That's got George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez. Okay, Aaron Brockovich. Oh, he's responsible for Ocean's 11. Okay, he's done Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12. What's that? Full Frontal. Like a fucking male porno, I guess. I don't know. Haywire, Logan Lucky. I think I heard of that, but I didn't see that one. Magic Mike's Last Dance. So he directed Magic Mike. So there are some movies that he did do that are well known that a lot of you guys probably have seen. So okay, and this movie is one of them. And of course, the cinematography is done by Steven Soderbergh. So I got to give kudos to Soderbergh for that. The cinematography was amazing. Like I said, I liked the way the movie was presented and how everything played out. It's not exactly found footage, and it's not it's first person, but you got to think first person from the perspective of a spirit, and it just played out really well. And like I said, just the presence being around each character and how their interactions are with each other and with themselves, it is presented. It's presented very well. It is presented very well. And I will say I do have a much more appreciation for this movie. Now, going off of the reviews, like I said, Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 87%, with an average rating of 7.2 out of 10. The website's consensus reads, a slow-burning spectral thriller. Presence reaffirms that Soderbergh plays with form as deftly as he fits between genres. Metacritic used a weighted average of 77 out of 100 based on 51 critics, indicated generally favorable reviews. And of course, Post-Tech gave it a 58% overall positive, with 33% saying that they would definitely recommend it. I will say I do recommend this movie. However, like I said, it's not for everybody. With me, I like a good movie with pace. I like a good movie with good characters, good dialogue. I don't want anything real fucking cheesy, like tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, like, why do you say that? I can't believe you said that. It's really cringe, that kind of thing, But I do appreciate a good movie with a good story, especially with how it's shot. And this is, like I said, this was a very interesting take on things, and I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it, especially the ending. Like I said, when you get to the ending, you will definitely understand more about who or what the spirit is, and then you just flash back through the movie and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe that. So it is definitely a big twist in the end. And of course it ends after that, with like a pan out of it. But I do think that this is a beautiful movie. It is beautifully shot. It is well worth seeing if you are into drama, especially supernatural drama. That horror element added to the drama genre of this type of film. So definitely, if you have a bit of time, if you have a bit of patience, like I said, the movie's 85 minutes long. Just go see it, check it out. Let me know what you guys think about it. Have you seen this movie, Presence? Let me know down. Let me know down in the comment section what your thoughts of this movie are. And that's it for today's feature of Cinemacast, guys. Thank you for watching. Please hit that like and subscribe button down below if you have yet to do so. Also, if you're watching this on Rumble, hit that follow, hit that like, and follow us on Twitch for more content and for more streams as well. And that's it for today's feature, which is Presence. And until next time, guys, we'll see you right back here at the cinema.